Okay, so last night we watched the entire Attack on Titan. We started from what now? This in our Anime Wednesdays. This is our second show we watched. We started off with Berserk, then we moved on to Attack on Titan. It's looking as I think I mentioned it earlier. It's looking as though we may be moving on to Chainsaw Man possibly. Go vote in the Discord if you haven't. But so I wanted to kind of give. I know I haven't really sat down and talked, but I wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on some of Attack on Titan and what was kind of going on there. I don't even know where to start. Feel free to help me out, chat, if I forget things. And oh, I should say, spoilers for Attack on Titan. Where I'm talking everything about the show right now. So mega spoilers. Don't watch this. So initially, oh, you know what? I'm going right into the ending. So when I first we ended it last night, I wasn't kind of resting on, well, I liked the ending. There were some things I had problems with, mainly things that pertain to Eren's motivations with what he was doing, why he was doing it, where he, essentially where things kind of sat with him. My buddy, Phoenix, I was texting with him earlier, and he kind of changed my mind a little bit or gave me something to think on. So my biggest problem with, I should put a header. I actually loved the ending. I liked the ending. I liked what they did with most of the characters. The closeouts that everyone got. I ended up really liking what they did with Mikasa. Very thematically, I knew the whole time. I had called it. Mikasa had to be the one to end it, right? Mikasa, as having grown up with Eren, been being with him since the very beginning. He saves her, which I think, thematically it had to be Mikasa either killing or saving him in the end, which, yeah, it went that direction. But I felt like just the send-off every character got, I felt like was pretty darn perfect. I really loved where Armin kind of ended up. He ended up becoming the Irvin character that he never envisioned himself to be. Same thing with Hanji. Hanji had a perfect send-off, being the same. Her and Armin had a very similar. I mean, they were people in the same role essentially for the army, for the military, of parody, the scouts. And then loved what happened with Levi. How everything ended with him. Those three characters, I feel like, had similar kind of. I mean, they were all just scout regiment, warriors. So all of their send-offs were great. Loved what they did with Levi and him kind of rejoining Irvin, and we'll touch on that in a second. All of the stuff we saw, but yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think of every character. I loved what they did with Gabby and Falco. We got to see some of the reunions with the parents, Annie and Annie or Gabby Falco and all of them. So I guess what I'm getting at is it had to come down to Mikasa and Eren. Like it felt like thematically, because they had begun their whole journey together. It kind of felt like it had to come down to them again, coming together, but her killing or not killing him. And I think what I'd had the biggest problem with in terms of the ending was the motives of Eren, essentially, and why he was doing what he was doing. And what I think my buddy Phoenix had essentially helped me out with. Reiner was a guy I did not expect to cheer on Loki's Veronica Rose. Yeah, Reiner, I guess so. Like, Reiner had a really cool turnaround. I don't know, I feel like that was a high point of the show, is the show did a great job of building up how evil a lot of these characters were, and just did a fantastic job of flipping it all on its head. It found a way to get you to hate somebody as much as you can, and then to root for them as much as you can at a point. And that is something that I'll down the line really appreciate about the show. And even they kind of flip-flop that for Eren. Like they even did that for Eren, where like you really love and root for Eren for a time, and then they flip that on him, being the opposite of everyone else, where they make you kind of like want to love them and see them live. They flip that on Eren, where I actually feel like Eren ended up being the most dislikable character out of everyone. And I guess, don't, what I'm Felt that with Gabby's Skylar. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, Gabby had a really great turnaround. I mean, some of the stuff that happened between her and I can't remember the little girl's name that Sasha saved. But yeah, great turnarounds of those characters. For me, it was Annie and Erwin. Yeah. I know Connie had a bit of a, all the stuff with him and Falco. I loved what they did with flipping the plot elements for Eren. Where I was going was with my buddy Phoenix. Is the thing I hated was Eren's motivations. If you guys remember some of the quotes he had for when he was in the very end, when he was in the whatever can't remember that realm, the other, like the afterlife essentially, where he was there with Armin. My hatred stuck with Phlox to Skylar. Yeah, I didn't like some of Eren's explanations as to why he was doing what he was doing. If you guys remember him specifically in quotes, I remember him saying something like, "I'm an idiot. I did it because power got to my head and stuff." And a lot of the things didn't really make sense. I really strongly feel like they made him seem like a very stupid and confusing character. Like nothing he did really made sense. But what I'm getting at is my buddy Phoenix, when I was talking to him earlier, this is something that I totally forgot about. But what I think may make more sense for Eren and what he did and why he was doing what he was doing was Eren even mentions it in the final conversation he has with Armin. But what really convinced me that is that if you guys remember back when him and oh gosh, what's her name, the queen, when there's a scene when Eren says that when he touches her hand or whatever, he has that was because a lot of their powers, whatever the ancient Titan powers of the descendants of Ymir, a lot of their powers change up when Veronica, no, not Ymir, what's her name, the one that had the children, Historia, yeah, Veronica Rose, Historia. That whole Eren talks about when he was touched by Historia due to her crowning him or whatever, congratulating him. I don't remember what for. That might have been for the war they had with Zeke. I think that's what they were being congratulated for. But yeah, when she touches him, Eren says that like all of the future and all of the past all like rushes through his head. And I think what my buddy Phoenix was talking about, that kind of is that Eren at the end was not supposed to be a logical thinking, rational person. He wasn't someone who, I don't think he was meant to be like, he did terrible things, was a terrible person, did some awful things that, like, in my opinion, made him the ultimate, well, you know what, I shouldn't even say it. Maybe he wasn't the ultimate villain. The idea of war, and they even said it, you fight. We always fight. We must fight, or whatever. Just the idea of always fighting and always being at war was the ultimate villain. And maybe you could view Eren as like a victim. He was the victim of this continuous cycle of violence and war and fighting and just awfulness, essentially kind of happening in the world. It's just his entire, like, just ideals of ethics and morals, even just what he wants in general. Victim of war, says Robot. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking, was a victim of war. But Eren's, that's what my buddy was getting at, is that Eren just didn't, his brain got mashed up because he had because again, his whole thing with the Titans and Ymir was that he had the ability of seeing into the future, into the past. So because every timeline mixed in with him, he could see the future, the past, every timeline, the current, is that he just had no, like, he just had no context as to, like, what was good, what was right in the moment. And I think thinking on it, it kind of made him probably find it hard to imagine what was the good and right thing in the moment. And he even says it, I think, is that, like, why should we care? Why should we keep fighting and keep doing what we're doing? Because he can see the ultimate result of everything that's happening. He knows when someone's going to die, how they're going to die. So I guess what I'm getting at is that I do think I like the character of Eren a little bit more if I know that, if I at least have that context that, like, okay, he wasn't he wasn't really a good guy. He wasn't really a bad guy. He was just a character who was like incredibly flawed and poisoned the well in ways of Veronica Rose. Exactly. Yes, his just his ethics and just ideals of what he wanted. I could imagine it would be really hard when like, well, what's the point of all this when I know what's going to happen? And I think they had that great scene towards the latter end when he saved that young boy from getting beat up and stuff. And you could see he was like completely broken because on one hand he saved this little kid, but on the other hand he knows what he's about to do to this little kid within a handful of years. You know what I mean? And you could also say another thing I didn't think about, but you could also say that like another thing that was kind of pressing on Eren was the fact that like he knows he's about to die as well. So like you could imagine to have the weight of the world, not even the world, the weight of this weird afterlife place that not even just the world, like I'm thinking about the afterlife, but to have the weight of this other world on top, plus all of these timelines and different results and outcomes, plus he knows he's about to die in 4 years when he does the Historia thing. Plus he might have, I think he actually was being slightly manipulated by Ymir and the centipede monster or whatever it was. There's like so many different influences on him that are all like pulling him into like different directions. Plus he has Zeke, who, don't forget Zeke and I can't remember the lady's name, Zeke and I can't remember her name, but he had other characters who are also pulling him in a direction, and he has to like try and balance all of this while also trying to protect his friends. But then it becomes like, well, how do I care about my friends and do what's right by them when, you know, all of this is like kind of meaningless? Like, because I know where I end up, I know where the world ends up, I know where the universe ends up. Or wasn't it Helena? Yelena or Helena? Yeah, Scarlet. That's the character I was thinking of. Which is why he said he was a slave to freedom, says Veronica Rose. Yeah, I do remember that. But yeah, that's just what I'm getting at. Is like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that ultimately, I understand the character. I do feel as though, after sitting on it and understanding about all of these different influences and things that are like just weighing him down, plus you throw in some manipulation by multiple characters, I can see how he just like, he's like, I don't know, what do you want me to do? I know all of these characters are going to be in pain and suffer, because no matter what I do, there's going to be war, there's going to be pain, there's going to be suffering. Even if we do the euthanization project that Zeke wants to do, where they prevent the line of Ymir from continuing on and eliminate the Titans. Even if everything works out perfectly, there's still going to be war and suffering and pain. And I guess I could see how an irrational mind would say, well, why would I put all of these people through this? Let's get it all over with now. Which is, you know, obviously pretty messed up. But just I could see how it would be twisted. Dang, everyone thought he was jaded by war, which no doubt he was, yeah, says Veronica Rose. But that whole awakening set him on a path to return. He did something that would have mattered in the end. Yeah, I mean, granted, you know, like, I kind of wish he would have done more to set things right, but I think with the whole story, what the creator of the story was trying to get across is that you can do as great things as you want. You can be as humanitarian, you can be as loving and caring and participate in your communities all you want. Ultimately, I think and this is even a quote I've lived by myself, is I always have said, the world is gonna world. You know what I mean? That's kind of something that's not a quote I got from anyone. That's came from I mean, I guess it's not insanely in-depth, thoughtful, but like, you know, all you can do is try and have an effect on like the people around you, and that like in the end, the world's gonna world. The world's gonna keep There's always going to be wars, always going to be terrible things happening everywhere. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't, like, I mean, this is where I go back to Eren. That doesn't mean I don't think you shouldn't do things to try and stop that stuff and stand up to it, which I kind of wish Eren would have done more of that. But again, he's like this drastically just brain-altered being who's being used by multiple and being pulled in all sorts of directions. And again, he sees where the ultimate thing ends up. And I guess I can see how when he's like this omnipotent being, all-knowing, where he's like, okay, all I see in the end is everything's dead on this planet, whether that be through war, whether that be through or whether that be through war or fighting, or whether that be through just age and time. To him, everything's dead and gone anyways. So I guess I can see how, like, again, in a very corrupted, manipulated mind, I can see how he could be like, just end it all now. You know what I mean? And maybe the one string holding him attached to his previous life, or his life that he loved living, was Parody and his friends. So eliminating the rest of the planet was, I don't know what maybe eliminating everything was his ultimate goal. And in his, like, back of his head, the one tiny piece of him that is remaining, he just thinks, I'm gonna try and save at least my friends and my island as much as I can, you know, even though I kind of know the end game for them as well. Again, he was a teenager. Well, in the finale, I think he might have been 18 or 19. And that's another thing Skylar Twilight's bringing up, is like, this is a super young person. This is somebody who, like, I don't know how old some of you guys are. I don't feel like I knew Jack when I was 18, 19. I think 18, 19, you're basically still a kid, in my opinion. I don't know how most people are, but, like, I'm 33. They're going on 34 years old. I don't feel like I had a real grasp of, like, myself and where I'm at with, you know, things until, like, my 30s, maybe. And I still feel like, you know, I'm learning and growing, but, like, yeah, so again, what I'm getting at is that, like, this is still a person whose mind is still developing, who still is trying to figure out where they're at with things. And again, I guess I'll also throw in, I'm not trying to say I'm excusing what Eren does throughout the show. I'm just trying to say, that, like, my buddy throwing that in, it makes me appreciate the character of Eren a little bit more, maybe give him a little bit of wiggle room in terms of, like, I can see what was going on there in the end with him. Not to mention, Eren goes off the deep end to a point where all of his friends feel responsible for his outcome. One point or another, they all wish they could have stopped him. Yeah. And I guess what the creator of the show, I don't remember the name of the creator of the show, apologize. I think one thing that really backs up my kind of talk here, or my theory about, like, Eren knowing where everything's kind of going, and knowing and mixing up the idea of, like, well, I know everything dies eventually. And I think what really backs that up is the end scene. If you go to the end scene with the credits, they do, like, this, which is a beautiful, it's a really dark but beautiful scene. They kind of show of Eren's, and I should say, I did tear up during the, some of the stuff with Mikasa. When, she couldn't let go of, like, Eren, you know, sitting next to him at the gravesite. I had one tear, which is a little one. But, that was probably, like, some of the deepest stuff I feel like that happened, honestly, with the latter end of the season. And I don't know, I felt like that was a really great scene of her finally listening to him, and, you know, kind of, I feel like that was kind of like the last remnants of, like, Eren, was a lot of the stuff with Mikasa, and her asking him to, or him asking her to, like, let him go, get rid of the scarf, you know, forget about me. And I feel like that was really beautifully done. But then also, in a way, that whole beauty and kind of fantastic nature of that Oh, sorry. I feel like in some ways Eren had his mindset that everything has to be annihilated because even in season 1 he's so angry he wants to destroy every Titan, which he thought is the enemy then. I feel like Eren developed, though, out of that. Like, later on, when he was still, like, in seasons, I think, like, 3 or whatever, like, I don't remember specifically the seasons, but I think he grew out of that. I don't necessarily, what I'm saying is I don't necessarily think he killed all of those people in the end because of anger. I don't think anger played any part in the very end of his nature and what he was doing. I think what played a part was just his recognition of what was happening or what would come to pass, and just kind of knowing where things were going to end up, and just kind of I actually think it might be the opposite of anger. I think what led him more into that direction was gloom and depression. I feel like him seeing how things were going to end up, what happens to everybody, the things that he can see what he does. And I think almost in a way it's like a full circle type thing where sure, he could not do these things and fight against that future, but because he sees what he does, it warps his mind on like things. Because again, it's like a full circle thing where like he could change his nature, but he sees how bad some of the stuff he does is, and it helps him, or it doesn't help him, it makes him just lose faith and lose a sense of like just hope for like what is gonna come. And I get the sense that like when you listen to him talk at the end when he was with Armin, he is a very defeated personality. He sounds very like all of this was come to pass, all of this, I see it all. Like in the scene where him and Armin are sitting in the blood river, blood pond or whatever. Yeah, and again, like I'm not trying to like, I'm just saying Odin is like, I agree that like maybe anger played a part, but I in my personal opinion, to me it came off as very like defeatist, very like, sure I could change things, but he's just totally, his mind is just warped by seeing the absolute worst that he could do. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Oh yeah, because at first they were believed to be the last humans alive within the walls, but since reaching beyond the walls, the photo of himself from Grisha, Robot Slayer himself, to me when everyone said they were reached out to him, such a intricate way to double it a cry for help, says Robot. Yeah, well that's why I'm saying is that like, I've got the sense that he was defeated, he felt defeated, and felt, I guess alone. Yeah, and alone's a great thing, because if you think about it, he lets Armin in at the very end, and has that one quick moment with Mikasa, you know, when they're like on that weird little farm. Nihilism and cynicism can be its own monster, says Veronica Rosie. Yes, that's what I'm getting at, is that he just became so cynical of just what had come to pass, or what he could do, that it just became impossible for him to end the cycle, or to fight against it. And again, why fight against it when I know how everything's gonna come to pass? I don't know. It's very nihilistic, and I'm not saying I like any of it, but I understand it. Robot Slayer himself says, then Armin pulling Zeke and the previous Titan holders aside to preach hope really spoke to me. Felt like words Eren needed to hear. I guess I can see that. It's not like a completely perfect ending. I'm not trying to say I think, oh, it was so great, it was amazing, it was perfect. It was a very good ending. I really liked it. I think I like it a little bit more since talking about this and listening to my buddy Phoenix. But yeah, one thought I did want to finish when I was talking earlier was the beauty and the fantastic nature of Mikasa's ending with the tree and everything. Which again, trees became a huge imagery of this show because of the nature of trees. And I guess like the whole imagery and the purpose behind that was that, like, my guess, what I took away from the tree angle that they always took from, is it did come off as like a very Mother Earthy kind of which I guess, I mean, could Ymir be viewed as like Mother Earth? I don't know, but like, to me, the tree itself personified Mother Earth for me, where it came across as like no matter what happens with our wars, with our fighting, with all of our bickering and back and forth, the trees and the planet will remain after us and before us, in fact. Which again, that's where I was getting at with the tug and pull nature of the very ending, where you see the credit scenes, where you see the beauty of Mikasa and her fantastic ending with her moving on, moving past Eren, forgetting about him. Well, not forgetting, but he asks her to forget about him. There's a quick snippet. It shows her having a family and moving past Eren, and then still coming back and seeing him from time to time. But that beauty and that nature is offset by, it continues on, and it shows all of the continuing wars and fighting still happening in the background after like this fantastic and beautiful ending. And then it shows an eventual return to it just being a tree, which is very symbolic, because remember, if you think about it, that's how all of this supposedly ended, with the I can't remember the originator of the Titans, the Titan thing, but it's very symbolic of like Ymir, how Ymir started with the tree and the centipede and all of that. So it did, again, that kind of was like I don't know, there's so much symbolism and imagery and everything going on here that I certainly get what they were going at. And I guess kind of looking back on the show and what was happening, the point wasn't necessarily maybe the point wasn't necessarily the lives and the characters we came to love. Like, the point isn't necessarily Eren. It's not Armin. It's not Mikasa. Not Levi. It's not Parody. It's not Marley. The point isn't all of the wars and the fighting. Like the point of the whole show is that, like, I think what they were getting at is that beyond us, to me it came off as a very like nature, I hate to say it, not naturist, but environmental. Like, I almost took away kind of like an environmental messaging towards the end, where it's like I mean, I guess you could say maybe like there's a sense of like I don't want to say anti-spirituality, but like maybe shouldn't even bring in, maybe I shouldn't bring in spirituality, because I don't think it ever brought that idea up. But it was just saying that, like, well, I guess no, I guess you couldn't help but bring spirituality in a way into it. Just the idea is that just beyond all of your problems and all of your issues and all of our hate and fighting and bickering, you know, in the end we all return to something. You know what I mean? And like, as much as you want to act as though like everything you do is like super important and a grand, well, I guess no, I guess that also is very cynical. But like, I guess it depends on the person, right? Maybe, you know, this was created by a certain somebody, you know, maybe they had their own they had their own view of like the world, which I think is great. I actually love that like you could have a story like this where like it very rounding my thoughts on the end, it comes off as somebody who very much has their own opinion and their own view of the world, of themselves, of our everyday lives, which I think is fantastic. And you don't get that a lot. You know what I mean? You don't get that a lot from stories of somebody just like, I think that's, oh man, I'm really talking this this anime up more the more I'm talking about it, is that person and moment, says Robot Slayer. Point of the story, beware of trees and holes in them, says Veronica. True, since Amir stumbled into the centipede from inside the tree, and I don't think about it. Oh, it's talking about the tree. Yeah, but like I was saying, this is I don't know, like it's rare that you see stories that that somebody, like, I really like, more I'm looking into this, like I feel like you could do like a college worthy study or paper on this type of storytelling, because like it kind of, and the commentary on war was crazy, says Veronica Rose. Yeah, You kind of really dig into, there's a lot to dig into here in terms of like peeling away what somebody believes or whoever created this story believes. I know it's not related to the story in general, but I want to point out how it started by Linked Horizon's first opening song, and it ends with a song by Linked Horizon once again. Oh, yeah. Great point. New ideas for my free time, lol, says Veronica Rose. But yeah, in a way, like, I guess you can't, I can't help but, like, talk about the spirituality aspect where, like, everyone has their own ideals of how things, where we, what's the point of everything? Where do we all end up in the end? And you can really dissect what this person was really feeling and thinking, because like I feel like whoever told this story really tells you, put it out there what they think. Like it's very much a very like worldly, environmentally focused, in my opinion, ideal of things. Where like, or isn't I guess you could say like, is Japan Buddhist? What does Japan typically believe? Because now that I'm thinking about it, isn't that the whole ideal of Buddhism? Is that when you pass away, you go back into the earth, your spirit, or you're reborn into some aspect of the earth? Okay, no, Buddhism is. It says that Shinto and Buddhism are the two largest religions in Japan. Okay, well, like I said, I guess I was hitting the nail on the head with the spirituality aspect. Is at least in my opinion, again, the whole idea of this story was like, is that like whenever we're done here, they think that we just become part of the earth. We all go back into some a universe that just is a part of the earth. You're a part of recreating, being reborn of whatever is going on there. And I definitely think like I could see like a heavy I mean, I guess that type of, I believe it's Buddhism. Yeah, okay, everyone chats in Buddhism. And then like beyond that, like you guys were saying in chat, like there obviously war and vengeance were like that. I would say the war, to me, the war and vengeance may take a backseat to like some of the spirituality messaging towards the latter end. But I mean, throughout the whole story, like it overwhelmingly feels like a war story. You know what I mean? So I guess kind of like, I don't know, I don't mean to, I'm just thinking off the top of my head of like what some of the imagery and symbolism partakes. And then obviously when you like look further into it, like I think it's obvious, the Titans themselves, like they're a personification of weapons, right? Like they are like literally one of them, the Colossal Titan, is a nuke. You know what I mean? I feel like it's obvious, like all the Titans are like some sort of weapon, things that are designed to kill. Which I guess it is kind of interesting that also, I guess that would be a human thing as well. I was going to say, like, it's interesting that the Titans are born from the Earth, so they kind of, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm going anywhere with that thought. I think it's obvious the Titans are a personification of war and fighting, killing in general. There's commentary on war, class propaganda. Yeah, I can see that. Just basically everything a part of like of modern politics and war, fighting, all of that. Basically anything you can think of, territories, treaties, everything's covered here. I feel like this series is a little something for everyone. I was just in the urge to dissect the intros and outros frame by frame. That'd be kind of a cool thing to talk about. I'm trying to think, is there room to do anything else with the Attack on Titan world? I don't think so. Would any of you actually want more AOT? I hate to say it, I'm very much like when I feel like something has a good ending, just leave it alone. Like I kind of wouldn't want to see any more out of this. Hopefully, in my opinion, the creator doesn't do anything and kind of leaves it at that. I feel like it's a good ending, great ending. I've kind of talked myself into saying I love the ending. It's not perfect. It's really good. It's really great. I liked it. I really enjoyed this show more than I anticipated. Not a super fan or whatever, but I enjoyed my time with it. No, I'm perfectly fine with the way it ended, Skylar. And because the art, yeah, I loved it. It was great. I do because the might go on to do my own time. Oh, okay. I don't know. I feel like it was like the show. Like I will say, even though I had mild problems with some of the end stuff, the overall I thought leading up into like the latter ends. What was there? Was there 4 seasons? Is that what there was? Leading towards the end, I feel like the show was darn near perfect leading up until the Marley stuff, when Eren finally reaches Marley. After that is where I started having some of my issues come up, and then in the post I've kind of come to grips with it, and I think I like it more. But initially, all of the world building, everything leading up to Marley, the whole story with Eren, it was all so great, you know, seeing some of the character build up of like thinking Eren is the ultimate hero, he's the best of us, and then in the end he ended up being possibly the most evil. But then like it's like, again, that's not the point, is him being evil. That's not the point of all of the sins of every character in the game, in the anime, because that's a big thing they kept talking about, is like, oh my, all of our sins, we can't forgive each other for what we've done. That was like a big scene on the on the plane with Connie and all of the others, where they're all talking about, we can't forgive ourselves for what we've done, blah blah blah. And I hate to say it, but like, I almost don't think, again, with the whole, again, I keep injecting the Buddhist, the religious aspect of it, but like, I really took away that like, this creator, not saying that all of these things that were terrible aren't terrible and should happen. That's not what I'm taking away. But like, in a spirituality view, that like, I don't know where I'm going with that, because the way I'm phrasing it, making it seem as though I feel like the creator is saying, who cares that like all these terrible things happened. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that like, all this stuff was bad and terrible, but in the views of like Eren, what does it matter when like we're all gonna end up as part of the earth anyways? Like, granted, again, I don't, I think it's all on my brain. I'm cooked. Did I love making theories with y'all, because the world building of the story was so good. Oh, Salty, like, I didn't even realize one of the sections of the kid soldiers was just Reiner as a child. Oh yeah, no, I think I noticed that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, the Marley sections were built quite weird. I remember I had a hard time distinguishing different moments in the timeline. Oh yeah, that was a little odd. But no, it was a great show. I don't even know what else to say. I really enjoyed it. I forgot which prediction I made I was right about what would happen, but it felt good because I guess something right, yeah. You can think as like a military member or a soldier, again, not judging our military members, but like, you know, propaganda is a hell of a thing. You know, you can think you're being utilized the right way, and you can think what you're doing is in the right sometimes, and you know, everyone falls victim to propaganda. You know, everyone can get manipulated, unfortunately, and be used to perform bad things, and it's just the way you know, the world's gonna world. You gotta try and stop that. But you know, it's like falling into a cult. You know, no one knowingly falls into a cult. You know, no one is like, you know what, I'm gonna fall into a cult someday. You know, it's just not. It's you know, no one expects that. You know. So what did y'all think? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. What did you think of the show in general? Again, fantastic show. I think everyone should go watch this if you care about anime at all. It definitely is a roller coaster of a ride. Now, I guess another thing I would like to bring up is, like, story aside, what was everyone's favorite song in the series? What was... I would say War, or My War, was probably my favorite. Easily my favorite, probably. My War. I loved the show. Thought it was fantastic. Oh, the ending of season 2 and the intro to Marley's. What was the intro to Marley's? Was that? Because I think that's where like it dipped a little bit for me. Was like when we first got to Marley. I feel like, um, rumbling in the first intro. Because I feel like the peak of the show for me was probably the first battle with Zeke and Reiner. I think that was probably like the best part of the show, in my opinion. What would that be? Would that be the end of season 2? I think that was the end of season 2, right? Was the big battle in is it Hinganshina? What's the name of the main home? Shinganshina is Eren's hometown. Okay. Oh, I was just thinking, another thing that really may have played a part in Eren kind of going cuckoo and losing it was the fact that, again, because he could see all of the time frames, he could see that he is the one that killed his mom. Which is like, oh, it's okay, Walmart is the place as a whole, I see. You know, and I could see how, like, him realizing, I'm the reason my mom and dad both die. That, like, I could see how that could drive someone. And then, like, again, that's just another of the 10 items that causes him to go over the deep end and to, like, question how everything is, you know, am I the cause of all of this? Where, like, what is the point in fighting on when, like, you know, the best thing to, like, stop pain and suffering for everybody is to cause their pain and suffering to happen sooner. You know what I mean? In a weird way, it's, again, I still heavily feel like Eren was a very doom and gloom and just nihilistic, cynical person, or became a nihilistic, cynical person from just having the weight of everything thrown onto him. And I don't know. Dude, the plot twist was that Grisha's wife ate his mom was so gut-wrenching. Oh, yeah, that is right. His I guess stepmom ate his wife or something? Well, who technically would that have been? Something like that. Very, yeah, very crazy. And it's just all messed up. All bad. None of it good. Alright, y'all. Well, I think that's going to be my thoughts there. I really recommend you guys go watch this. Oh, I think I remember one of my points from earlier. I don't think I'm ever going to watch this show again. I'm talking it up, talking about how much I love the ending and the show overall. It's crazy, dude. I gotta say it, if we're going to be doing this anime on Wednesday things, we cannot be watching stuff like Berserk and Attack on Titan back to back. These have been the absolute, like, most depressing shows to watch back to back and to start anything off with. Like, the way Berserk ended was just brutal and agonizing. The way this ended was not the happiest and go luckiest anime ever. Like we gotta mix it up. We gotta throw in some daisies and funny anime now. Well, what is it? Oh, now we're moving on to Chainsaw Man. Watch that have like an awful freaking show where like everyone in the world dies from chainsaws. It's just everyone's born and then they get chainsawed immediately. I don't know. That's why I recommended One Punch Man. It's just silly and has cool fights mostly. I don't know about you, but I would watch it for a third time. You know what? I would love to watch the show again up until, like, I actually feel like if there is a reason to watch this again is to know the context of everything and then to rewatch it. So, like, at least now when you immediately jump into it, it's like, Evangelion's depressing, says Robot? Oh, that's not what I wanted to hear. I have no idea. To me, it looked like a happy-go-lucky Gundam show. Or mech show or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's probably super. Maybe the mechs all kill all the humans and then destroy themselves at the end. I have no idea. Not gonna lie, when I finished it 2 years ago, I jumped straight into Card Captor Sakura to cheer myself up. Yeah, again, it's like I actually do think there is a reason to rewatch it. I think the context of what happens and the motivations and what happens behind everything, it might definitely be worth a rewatch for somebody. Not me. It's just so it's kind of a so depressing of a story. I don't know if I will ever watch it. I would be willing to rewatch this for somebody I care about, family member or somebody who's just like, we should really watch this. I'd be like, you know, all of the memes and jokes about Berserk and stuff. That's my thoughts with Berserk and now Attack on Titan. Is if someone's like, we should watch that, it's like a, you sure? You sure you want to do that? I mean, I will if you want, if you really want to. I would even pull up an anime, just Family Guy's is salty to get rid of the bad feelings. I could see that. Yeah, this isn't like a Dragon Ball where it's like oh, or Yu-Gi-Oh. I just need to watch something, you know. I just need to have some good feelings. Like, this isn't that type of show for me, at least. But still a good time. I definitely think, like, along with Berserk, this is like, I hate to say, this is top tier anime. Like, if you're gonna be somebody who watches anime, you kind of gotta watch this. That's my seal of approval, ChazmaN seal of approval. This is like, you should really watch this if you like anime. I don't see how you cannot. It's one of those animes that you need to get someone into watching it. To Skylar, oh yeah, well, that's what I meant. Is like I will recommend this show, but if someone's like, do you want to watch it with me? I'll be like, okay, you know, I guess I will. Commander Irvin from Attack on Titan. Hello, Peter. Yeah. All right, y'all. That's my thoughts. Again, I didn't mean to just talk about the ending. I guess to me, that's the most interesting part. It's the ultimate thing that puts into frame and into context every character and what happens with them. I could have gone season by season. I loved all the seasons. Felt like everything was great, and the show just it fits into place. Everything comes together once you get to the end. So yeah, I feel like that's the most interesting thing to talk about. So all right, yeah, moving on to the next thing. That's it. I love Attack on Titan. Go watch it.
Well, well. Looks like you've reached the end, haven't you, you imbeciles? On Enter ChazmaN, you'll witness gaming brilliance beyond your comprehension. ChazmaN Live brings the drama. Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. EST. Longplays delivers full journeys, uncut and unspoiled. Join the Patreon, Discord, Instagram, and TikTok below, if you can manage it. Still not following Enter ChazmaN? Then mediocrity clearly suits you.